The orca is an apex predator of the ocean. It is highly intelligent, lives in close family groups, and hunts through cooperation. Sometimes it can even take down whales much larger than itself. But this perfectly adapted animal did not appear all at once. Its form is the result of an incredibly long evolutionary journey. The story begins about 3.8 billion years ago, with simple single-celled life drifting in the ancient seas. There were no animals yet, only basic life reacting to its surroundings. Over time, life became more complex. Around 600 million years ago, multicellular organisms known as the Ediacaran biota appeared. Their bodies were soft and their movements slow, but the basic idea of having a body made of many parts was established. Around 520 million years ago, animals like Pikaia emerged. They had a simple internal support structure, the early form of a backbone. This single feature would later give rise to fish, land animals, and eventually the orca. During the Devonian period, fish such as guyu appeared with strong internal bones. Having a solid skeleton allowed greater movement and flexibility, greatly expanding evolutionary possibilities. The ancestors of orcas followed this path of bony fishes. Later, lobe-finned fish like Tiktaalik evolved. Bones developed inside their fins, allowing them to support their bodies in shallow water. These fins were not just for swimming. They were the early stages of arms and legs. Next came early reptiles. By laying eggs with protective shells, they were no longer tied to water for reproduction. Life could now spread across dry land. During the Cretaceous period, when dinosaurs dominated the Earth, small mammals like eomites survived in the background. They were tiny and fragile, but this lineage would later become the foundation of all modern mammals. Up to this point, evolution had been preparing the groundwork. The real turning point came next. Around 55 million years ago, after the dinosaurs went extinct, mammals rapidly diversified. Among them were the ancestors of even-toed hoofed animals, the group that would later include cattle, deer, and whales. Around 55 million years ago, after the dinosaurs disappeared, mammals began to spread rapidly across the Earth. On land, competition was becoming intense. But along rivers, coasts, and shallow seas, there was something different. These environments were rich in food, and there were still very few large predators. This point is crucial. Some mammals began spending more time near the water simply because it offered opportunity. Fish and small animals were abundant, and competition was far lower than on land. From this shift emerged Pakicetus, about 50 million years ago. In appearance, it was still a land animal, but deep inside its skull, its inner ear was already adapted for hearing underwater. Here is an important detail. In whale evolution, hearing adapted to water before swimming did. Being able to detect prey underwater came first. Efficient swimming came later. Next came Ambulocetus. It spent much more of its life in the water and swam in a crocodile-like manner, ambushing prey beneath the surface. Why return to the sea at all? Because water offered major advantages. Buoyancy supported body weight, making large size easier to achieve. Food was stable and plentiful, and large size is one of the greatest advantages a predator can have. On land, becoming large requires strong legs and heavy bones. In water, floating makes size far less costly. For these animals, the ocean was not a retreat, it was an opportunity. With Protocetus and its relatives, life shifted almost entirely to the sea. Walking on land was no longer necessary, and the hind limbs gradually shrank. In evolution, structures that are no longer useful tend to disappear. Around 40 million years ago, Basilosaurus appeared. This enormous early whale reached lengths of over 15 meters. However, it is not considered a direct ancestor of modern whales, but rather a side branch that eventually died out. Why did Basilosaurus disappear? There is no single cause, but one major factor was inefficiency. Its body was extremely long and slender, which made swimming less efficient. As ocean conditions changed, natural selection favored whales that could swim faster and more efficiently using powerful tail flukes and compact bodies. The Basilosaurus body plan could not keep up, and that lineage gradually vanished. The surviving whales followed a different path. They evolved more streamlined bodies and highly efficient swimming. Around 34 million years ago, this led to the emergence of Neoceti, and whales split into two major groups. One group became baleen whales, feeding on enormous numbers of small organisms. The other became toothed whales, active hunters that catch prey with teeth. Orcas belong to this second group. Among toothed whales, sound became more important than vision. This led to the evolution of echolocation, allowing them to hunt even in dark or murky waters. Around 3.5 million years ago, Orcanus cytoniensis appeared. Smaller than modern orcas, it already hunted cooperatively in groups. Here is a fact unique to orcas. Their greatest strength is not individual power, but social cooperation. Different populations develop different hunting strategies, and these behaviors are passed from parents to offspring. This is sometimes described as culture, and it is extremely rare among animals. Finally, around 500,000 years ago, the modern orca emerged. With high intelligence, stable family groups, and learned hunting techniques, it became one of the most effective predators the ocean has ever produced. The orca did not return to the sea by accident. It followed opportunity, efficiency, and cooperation. And over millions of years, those choices shaped the apex predator we see today.